right, here we go. Looks like it says we're live.
It says we're live. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this. We couldn't be more excited. Welcome to Blackline Live. This is the first time we're doing this. We're all a little bit nervous, but we couldn't be more excited to do this because we know how important it is. I am joined with Jeremy Hess, and we have the chairman of beautiful Blackline and the Legacy Group here. I'm going to give you both today.
Wow.
Yeah, Joshua Malott. And I know everyone that's watching here, right here on YouTube, as well as we have Instagram live over here right now. So we have Instagram live going as well, and I'm going to be moving my mic around as I get comfortable. We wanted to know, or the people want to know, when you go to the website, you kind of start to think like, hey, what is Blackline? Why Blackline? So I'm going to kind of throw that your way and give me the 0 to 60 on what Blackline is and why.
Okay. Well, why Blackline? I mean, Blackline is just so it's something that's really important to me. You know, we say that black lines bring clarity and definition to things, and why Blackline is to invest in training the next generation and to lift the view of the skilled trades. That's why Blackline. And so there was a line drawn in the sand for me, and I decided to step up to it. And so that's why Blackline.
How did Jeremy Hess get involved with Blackline? If you could, kind of share a little bit of the background story here in terms of, we have 3 very unique personalities sitting at the table right now.
Yes, and all 3 are very different.
And I'm going to kind of just glaze over mine. If you wanted to share kind of the history of the background, like you, Jeremy Hess, and then me, if we could kind of give that background, we'll start there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that anybody can actually glaze over you, Curran. You're like a strobe light. Yeah. Well, Jeremy Hess worked with our sister company, Legacy Group, and we worked together in building culture and investing in people. And as we worked together doing that, I began to realize how much people matter to me. You know, we all have jobs to do. We all have, things that we're building and that we're doing, and those are cool and all, but it's really about the man or the woman standing next to you and the importance of investing in that person. And so Jeremy came on board and worked with us in that, and we were really investing in people. And it was just, I realized, I think it was the first time, I've been in business for many years, but it was the first time that I was like, wow, this is what it's about. Like, we can build buildings and they can be here, but if we aren't building relationships, if we aren't building to make each other better, then it doesn't matter. And the other thing that, Jeremy's skill set in refining things and just image is something that is also important when you're presenting to people, and presenting something that is, that communicates clearly and effectively. And that's one of his skill sets that I think is, he is very well known for that.
Mm-hmm.
He is almost infamous in our area, and the fact of the matter is he's well known for that because it's a gifting, and it is impressive. And I actually think the way that we communicate through visuals and image is really significant and important. And it takes a lot of work to communicate simply and clearly, but accurately. And that's something that he helps us do. And that was a no-brainer when we were starting Blackline, that I wanted him on the team, that I wanted to do this with him. And so it's been a great experience.
That's awesome. And now that Jeremy's head is kind of like too big to fit in here after...
Do we need a wider angle?
No, but seriously, obviously, Jeremy, I know how important this is, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of in a transition, and I know people who have followed us on Instagram and people who follow us on YouTube, they've kind of seen this like, hey, like for 20 plus years, you've been the director of premise, right? You're still doing that, but it's so important to you for Blackline that you are putting a lot of emphasis on that, on this.
Yeah.
Could you kind of break that down for a little bit, like what this means to you? And it's 2 different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
A tradesman who has owned an awesome company for 20 plus years, and a creative photographer, director, people builder, culture, like
Yeah.
two different views, and I'm kind of just a piece of shrapnel here in the middle with a little
Shrapnel is a
a little
good
bit of both.
description.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Shrapnel cuts, by the way, just so you know.
I'm definitely outgunned at this table. Says the man with the Benchmade sitting next to me and grab, So no, please.
Yeah. You know, the hard part about what I do is there's a lot of things that tend that build behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
And I am I've grown up literally in the behind the scenes. So I grew up catering in a family business, and that means that you're working the week to work the weekend, and you're working to support other people.
Yeah.
Even to the point where if you're not there, they're not being affected, right? So learning from my dad that servant leadership and how to serve people, I really, came to understand the value of serving. And when we serve well, it can actually affect people in a way that transforms the experience they're having, right? So they can either have a really great experience or they can have a really bad experience, right? In that application, it was for food, right? So if the food's good, man, I'm having a great time. If the food's bad, I can still have a good time, but man, there's something going on.
Yeah.
And so as my career kind of progressed, a lot of my ambition and personal desire was to continue to build encounters for people to experience something, maybe even to see something that they hadn't seen before.
Okay.
Right.
How specifically with the trades though? Like,
yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going is that what I experienced in the trades and how I connected with Joshua was really through shared experience.
Gotcha.
Right. And I think that's something that we kind of glaze past in the building experience, in the trades themselves, is there's a lot of shared experiences.
Yeah.
Even to the point where there's teamwork that we may not want to acknowledge. Because I want to work with my team. I don't want to work with any of the other team.
Is that what you call it when I drag people along?
Well, how are things
That's
built?
called team.
How are things built without teamwork though?
But isn't that the interesting question, right? That's the point, right? That's the point. So you have to understand, I'm coming from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting this privilege to kind of look at the building process, look at the team, look at the systems, look at how things are designed.
For sure.
And I'm sitting there from an outside perspective going, well, this is really amazing. This is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for obvious reasons, right? Because we actually get to tangibly see something at the end of our day.
Right.
When we're at the end of the day, when we've done our job, I can look back and go, we built that, right? Where a lot of my experience 20 years in has not been built around getting to see the instant result. And that instant result is built around team.
Yeah.
And if we understand how our cultures work, and we actually begin to build a culture where my team wants to work with me again, then there's the opportunity for us to build a better work environment that creates a better product through shared experiences. And then if I can do that in a way that actually gives an opportunity for like the tradesperson beside me to have a good experience, then I bet we could actually all step up to the line and say, hey, there's an opportunity here.
Well, the funny thing is, it really sounds noble, but it's really not.
Yeah.
And the reason that I say that is when you build culture, it's the long game.
For sure.
And it increases profits. It increases, it decreases turnover rate. It draws people to your organization that want to be there.
And you think about that, the people who are watching more than likely are in the trades, are people that are close to us at some point, whether they work for you or have worked with somebody that, is in the trades, and they care about this already, and kind of thinking about what they're going through. Culture can either be good or it can be bad.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
You can do the same thing and have one or the other. And
Yeah.
it's an active choice you make because you're investing not in better gear, but it's better people.
Yeah,
right. And it's
absolutely.
investing back into your people. So just to kind of recap what you said, it's important to invest in people, but I want to challenge you to dig like in 1 minute a little deeper here, just being
You
like,
telling me
hey,
I talk too much?
no,
1
like,
minute, go.
like the line, right? Like
Right.
we're gonna get into the podcast itself and kind of talking what we're doing here today, but most importantly, like what makes people walk away from a very successful career, cushy position, lots of money, whatever it is, and decide to roll up your sleeves and invest in this Blackline.
Right.
I need that. You know what I mean? I need that, like, whoa. And you said it to me before many times. You've said it on Instagram and stuff. Like, it's our future.
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, I have 7 kids at home, and I understand that for every action, there's going to be a reaction.
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
And what I realized is that as I began to understand and see the trades and experience the trades, walk alongside of Joshua and his team and see how they work together, if we see there's this quote unquote problem that we're experiencing in the trades,
Yeah.
where I watch people literally come in and help build my house that have gray hair, knowing that they're not going to be here in 2-3 years because they told me, they're like, hey, I can't continue to do this.
Yeah.
And then when I look past them and go, well, where's the next generation? What's, who's going to be the next builders?
Yeah.
And I think to myself, I don't see as many people going out. Like there's more people going out than coming in. That's an identifiable problem.
It's bad business. It's bad business.
Well, it's not only bad business, but it's one of those moments where I'm going, well, wait a second.
If I'm about the earth, sorry. I'm not saying like a business specifically. I'm talking about like the government, everything is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's bad business for us.
And for the people, meaning of Earth.
Well, and that's
humans,
that's my point is when I looked at my 7 kids and I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, there's kind of there's an issue here. So I can choose to do one of 2 things with that issue. First of all, I have to identify the issue. I identified it as for every 5 people that retire in the trades, we replace them with 1.
I'm not very good at math. Let's start there.
We know this.
Does that work?
Oh, it does.
I feel like the
very short amount of time.
It works if you like apocalyptic movies, because that's what life will be like.
Yeah, like the trajectory is this.
Yeah.
Right? This is the trajectory. And I just wanted to take a quick second. There's a couple people here on the live saying, let's go. And shout out to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm sure there's people up there. And if they're asking questions or anything popping up, we love to answer them. So make sure you're dropping comments below. Make sure you're hearting this and following along and subscribing, because at 12 p.m. here in 18 minutes, we're going to be dropping the first episode of The Line, which kind of recentering everything. As everybody knows, this is very important. For every 5 people leaving, 1 is entering. Bad business for the earth, humans, our kids.
Sure.
3, multiple kids at home.
Yeah.
So
A plethora of kids at home. Plethoras of kids everywhere, right?
Right. So the question is if you identify the problem, what are you going to do about it?
Step up.
Yeah. And so my point was Joshua was challenging me to step up to the line. He's challenging other people to step up to the line. And I thought to myself, hey, I understand how how cushy life can be.
Yeah.
But that's because I'm experiencing it. The question is will my children experience it?
Yeah.
Because the 5
because my electric works.
5 leaving, 1 coming in.
Right, because my electric works, my plumbing works. I have
well, and I mean, let's just be real about it. I mean, that's part of the problem in the trades industry. And if you're in the trades and you have a successful business, you might want to like disconnect or go away.
Yeah.
Because what I'm about to say, you probably aren't going to like, because I don't like it. But the fact of the matter is, you have to take the time to invest in the next generation.
Yeah.
And why would you do that if you have a successful career? Why would you do that? If you're going to retire in a few years and you've got your money, listen, the only way to do that is if you believe in legacy, if you believe in what is going to be here after you're dead. And the fact of the matter is, for years and years and years in the trades, we haven't done the work. Like you asked me, why Blackline and why the line? Well, the fact of the matter is because ever since I was an apprentice, people have been telling me that there's not enough tradespeople out there. We don't have enough experienced help. And not all the time does, like, if you're a tradesman or a tradeswoman and you aren't taking the time to teach the person that's standing next to you, if you're calling your foreman and say, hey, I need more guys for this job and I need experienced guys, I don't need inexperienced guys, then you don't get it. The fact of the matter is, Yeah, and I'm not trying to be unkind here, but it's the truth. The fact of the matter is, you need to take, as a tradesperson, and invest in that individual that's working next to you. I realized a few days ago, I was talking with a young man and he was doing something. I was so frustrated with him. And I'm like, how do you not know this?
Mhm.
And I just had this epiphany that no one ever told him. And the reason is we become so used to what we've learned that we think it's natural.
It's generational.
It is generational.
It's passed down, and
Yeah.
I'll say what you started to. You're part of the problem if you're not getting off the bench and
Exactly.
getting into the
That's
game.
exactly.
And you started to speak about legacy real quick, and I wanted to touch on that because the second question, I know we're saying like, why Blackline? Why the line? Right.
Yeah.
I want to kind of throw that at you for a second and say, you believe in legacy. And I personally believe that the line is going to become a part of your legacy.
I
Mhm.
agree.
And so I want to ask, what is the line? Why the line? You know, this thing that we have spent a lot of time investing in so far, and we're going to be
Money.
bringing on the end. Yeah, lots of time, money, energy, effort. And in 15 minutes, everyone watching here are going to get the chance to see countless individuals who give a shit about the same thing that you're talking about. And hopefully we inspire more, right? So
Yeah.
tell me why the line.
Well, I believe that the line, and I didn't know this when we started Blackline, just like I didn't know when I've started other things where they were going. I just, I'm a founder.
Mhm.
I'm a starter.
Mhm.
That's what I do, and I do drag people along with me. That is what I do, and I believe that the line is the way that we can lift the view of the skilled trades by communicating and what our teams do, and we are providing another avenue of how to elevate the view of the people that do the work. Right now, while we're in this office building and we're comfortable,
Yeah.
the temperature is right, everything is right. There are men and women right now out in the cold,
Yeah.
working in the dirt, in the mud, making things happen. There are men and women that are making this stuff work
For
right
sure.
now.
For sure.
And so the line, I believe, is an honest conversation that we can have, and we can get it out there for you to be able to hear it, be able to see it, and be able to know those things. And also Blackline's like vision in lifting the view of the skilled trades is to showcase what's being done.
And the shared experiences with which Jeremy kind of mentioned, right? Like we're bringing to light which no one has ever before been willing to be like, you know what, I'm going to talk about this because I bet you there's other people like me. And I've watched 10 of these episodes so far, and I've been watching them as you're speaking to these people, and a lot of people say the same thing. And it's interesting because before that conversation, I bet you they didn't.
Yeah.
And so I'm more interested to
Yeah.
hear, so it's going to become a part of your legacy. I know that.
Mhm.
And I'm interested to hear more on what Jeremy kind of thinks in terms of those shared experiences with why we were willing to invest what is actually going to be 52
Yeah.
52 episodes. We were
Please stop
promising
saying it out loud. Please
52
stop saying it
episodes.
out loud.
Yeah. So every single Monday starting January 1st,
Yeah.
we are going to be releasing one episode a week. And I think we're going to aim for 6 a.m. is the goal every single Monday. So when you get in your truck, you put your boots on, you have an hour to drive. It's
Some people will be driving for already an hour.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
just
Well, for sure, but we want to have it for you to listen, and we want it to attach to the people who are listening, and they're in high school going, you know what, I want to listen to something that maybe could be me in a year or two. I want to listen because before every podcast, and Jeremy, I'm sorry, I'll let you go here in a second. Before every podcast, I look at you and I look at the guest and I say, hey, you are living someone else their dream life,
Yeah.
right? And they want to know how and what and share those experiences because you put in a lot of time, energy, and effort, and everybody else who's willing to do that, which is a rarity, or people say is a rarity, they can do that too. And
Yeah.
so the line, Jeremy, tell us more about how obviously we as a group of people at Blackline decided this is important.
Yeah.
Why is it important?
Well, there's something significant about experiencing something with another person. But that happens because you're shoulder to shoulder with them and you're experiencing it together.
Mhm.
There's also something that we have to understand is that if we don't model what we're talking about, if we don't actually show it,
Mhm.
we may not really be able to mentor anyone on it, right? So if you look through literally, past 2,000, 2,500 years, everything's been passed down by story. We've learned through story or shared experiences.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we believe that at the line, if we are not willing to put on display what it means to be a tradesperson, what it means to raise the view of the trades, that means that there literally has to be something visual. There has to be something that we share with words to then model what that means.
For sure.
Yeah.
It models, we're not modeling perfection. Perfection's not the point. We're trying to model what it looks like to be a 21-year-old woman in the trades welding.
Yeah.
We're trying to show what it looks like to be an owner of $100 million business in the trades. There is no reason for us to have this Hollywood version, right?
Yeah.
Like, we are trying to speak the truth. We're trying to bring up to the view of what it looks like to be in the trades. And it's not about how do we make it look sexy.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
We don't need to.
Yeah.
It's being honest. It's about us being true to the line and saying, you know what, this is what it looks like. And if we don't start sharing that story, my children aren't even going to know what it looks like.
For
right.
sure.
There are people leaving this trade. There are
people
people leaving with a skill set. My grandfather shared with me how to work.
Yeah.
And how his tools. And if I don't know then how to pick up those tools and show my children the next thing, that's a lost art.
For sure.
And I'm not willing to let us go any further. And so here's our opportunity to start saying, hey, start sharing your story.
Yeah.
And this is our version of sharing the story, because story is important and it gives us an opportunity to reflect, gives us an opportunity to share. And ultimately step up to the line.
And you mixed you said story is important, and you're mixing a lot of what Blackline does. And just quickly letting everybody understand, it's a vertically integrated company with 3 different teams, right? We have built, design, institute. So not only are we just putting our effort and energy into a creative services where, listen, we help your team share your story. Right?
Yeah.
We'll just say that whether it's social media or capturing video and photography, we do that. We also have a design team because we believe in building better buildings.
Absolutely.
Building people better buildings for the future.
Yeah.
And then, in my opinion, my favorite, Blackline Institute, which is actually physically educating the next generation of skilled tradesmen and women. Right. And so I just wanted to make sure I got that out there, just because we have yet to kind of talk about what the core of Blackline really is. And are there any good questions on there? Are there any questions? What do we got?
Yeah, I was just checking it out here. So it says that Disney told me to follow my heart. Right? Disney told me to follow my heart.
For sure.
But 57% of Gen Z wants a career as an influencer.
Well, that we all know it's physically impossible, right?
Why is following your heart a bad idea? Why is following their heart a bad idea? So in other words, Disney tells you to follow your heart.
Correct.
Influence, like the Gen Z version is be an influencer, right? And I think what the question that they're asking is so if we all become influencers, how's that going to work out?
For sure. Well, let's be real. It's physically impossible. Not everybody can be an influencer because then there's no one to influence, right? And I mean, diving deeper in that, I'm not taking any credit away from influencers. The amount of content, sheer content, dedication to being consistent, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain.
It's hard work.
And it takes a different brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm reading that comment or hearing you read that comment to me saying, hey, follow your heart. And I've learned over 35 years of life now that your heart can change. What motivates you and drives you changes quite often.
Yeah.
And you might not care about something today, but 3 or 5 years from now, you're going to care about it. The quicker you find, and I talk about this actually in my podcast, the quicker you find what you're good at and you can bring to life things with less effort than someone else, comparative advantage, the better off you're going to be. Right. And so I love that comment. Follow your heart. Put your all into it, just because as long as you're busting your ass and putting everything you got into something, that's all people want. And people are so many times now saying Gen Z is unwilling to work. and I'm not Gen Z.
Yeah.
Right. But I know sure as hell from meeting people out on these job sites and in the factories and watching these people podcast, they're willing to do it.
Yeah.
And then there's a harsh reality if you're not. Right.
Well, I think the thing that following your heart that we have to be careful of, if I followed my heart when I was 18, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is I
Yeah.
needed a job and I needed to learn a trade. That was what my dad told me. And I needed to learn that. And then as I grew in that and I did the job, um, if you work hard at something and you pick something, and obviously don't pick something that you hate. I didn't go get a job being an accountant,
Yeah.
but I needed a job and I needed to learn a trade because a trade is something that no one can take away from you.
Mhm.
And what happened is as I sent it, as I worked hard and I did those things, the things that my heart values, I learned what they were. I think that when we're young, we don't always realize what the desires of our heart are. And I say when we're young, I still struggle with that sometimes. And my first reaction is not always the right reaction.
Yeah.
And so it's like you do the work and then the other things are revealed over time.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. That's what I think.
I just want to say, because we have about 4 minutes left before the first episode launches,
Mhm.
The Line. We have had countless people on here, right? I wanted to quickly ask you, Joshua, throwing you on the spot, if there could be one guest, like one dream guest, dead or alive. You know what? Who cares? Dead or alive. Let's open it up.
Dead or alive?
Dead
Oh,
or
wow.
alive. And I'm going to
Wow.
open up to you as well. So be ready to answer as soon as he thinks.
Oh, I see. So I get to go first.
Yes, of course. I'm putting you on the spot because you're the professional
Jerk.
here.
Okay. So what was the question?
Dead or alive,
Fine time.
a dream guest. Does anybody else hear? I'll give him the
Well, here,
ding,
let
ding,
me
drop a
jump
comment.
in.
Drop a comment if you have a dream guest that you would like to see, or anybody else in general, because
Yeah.
we're willing to talk to everybody, whether we go
Right.
there to them, whether we call them. We want to continue lifting the view of the skilled trades. That's Blackline's vision statement. It's what we're about. It's our focus. So you go.
So the easiest one for me is I love spending time with my grandpa.
Mhm.
And my grandpa was a farmer, so he kind of had to know like a little of all of things,
Mhm.
right? So a dream to me would be just to have another conversation with him.
Cool.
Right? And to have me be able to tell him, having that shared experience, having him communicate knowledge down to me and give me knowledge that I wouldn't have otherwise. I would love to say to him, what I understand now, I didn't understand then.
Yeah.
But what he taught me helped build the person I am.
It's a different conversation now.
Yeah. And that's why
Okay,
this podcast is so important, because it's helping build the people who we didn't know who we were.
Mhm.
And when you go through the conversation, you get to hear the conversation about other people. It brings perspective. And now I get to learn from what, the 19-year-old that now is 21 welding. I get to hear her experience and I go, oh man, that's pretty cool. And then I get to hear about the $100 million business owner. And I'm going, wow, like this is that those are the problems they deal with. I didn't realize that. I thought around fat in their desk, behind their desk telling everybody what to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like we have these preconceived ideas in our mind, and if we don't have a conversation and we don't put this on display, if we don't share it with everybody and say, hey, this is what my line is, what's your line?
Yeah.
So what is your dream guest, dead or alive, Joshua?
Dead or alive.
Dead or alive. Send it up.
So my dream guest, if I'm being really honest, my dream guest is the person who has been affected by the decisions and the things that we are doing now that has decided, you know what?
Help.
I want to be a part of that.
Yeah,
I want to step up to the line. That's my dream guest. And this is not a political answer. This is the truth. And I want to be authentic in that. It's like my dream guest is someone who has been affected, that realizes what it is to be in the trades.
Yeah.
And that we have helped.
Yeah.
That's my dream guest.
Just before we kind of close out, Jake, are there any questions on there that we should kind of answer to before we wrap this up?
There's some back and forth between Blacksmith and Daniel at Apex Welding.
Yep.
Just talking about, if the future is actually bright or if it's
So
let me answer that.
Well, first of all, thank you.
Yeah.
Daniel, Apex, and obviously Blacksmith, Sawyer. Amazing
Thanks for all the
people. Thanks for all the
comments
comments on
Absolutely.
here.
Good stuff, yeah.
That's what this is about. It's about raising this community of people, right?
Yeah.
And so the question that was asked, just in case you couldn't hear it, is basically, is the future bright or is it a dim,
20
dark
seconds.
place? And so
20
you got
seconds.
20 seconds. and-
100% the future is bright. Listen, we are in the crisis generation right now, but the heroes are stepping up to the line,
Come on.
and they are going to change this problem that we're talking about. I wouldn't do this if I didn't think that we were going to win. The fact of the matter is we are.
Yep.
And the future is bright.
Yep.
Hope is on the horizon.
Yep. So
we have
one more.
Evan Jurgensen, and says you guys should talk about the need for CDL drivers around the country.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, there's a need for every trade around the country.
Yep.
So absolutely.
Hands down, every single trade out there, we need more people. We have a people
100%.
problem, and that's what we're doing. So to close this out, Joshua D. Malott over here on Instagram. We have Jeremy Hess Blackline on Instagram.
Got it.
Everybody watching, make sure you step up. 1 video per week starting January 1st for The Line. It's an honest conversation that's lifting the view of the skilled trades. Comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, as we close this out, we challenge you
Yeah. Come on.
to step up.
Yeah.
Please.
To the line. We challenge you to step up to the line.
And do your part sharing these videos, subscribe, share it with a friend, and inspire the next generation to
Yeah.
get involved. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next time.